for having me here tonight, especially given the snow. I'm hoping that that's not keeping you here. Let's see how fast you can type. And I speak Australian, not English, so that could make it even more difficult for you. Thank you for coming here, I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to see everyone here tonight because I think it's going to be you in this room who are transforming the way that people in this country build software. When I chat with some of the media over the last day that I've been here, they're all talking about how IBM and Computer Associates and Hewlett Packard are kind of the big vendors, and that's what most people use in this country. And that scared me a little, that people were still using these old companies to develop software. So I think you in the room are going to be the people that change the industry Japan and help adopt new practices. So tonight I want to go through a few things. I want to go through a little bit about what we're passionate about at Atlassian, go through a few of the upcoming features and products, and I hear that this crowd is particularly good at difficult technical questions that you're going to throw at me, and I'll do my best to answer them. So when we started, you cut faster and I'll go faster. When we started 12 years ago, we wanted every company in the world to use our products. And we have a huge milestone at the moment is that we just passed 40,000 companies using our products, such as every company in this room. So that's a huge milestone for us. When we set out 12 years ago, we set a goal of having 50,000 companies use our products, and we're almost there after 12 years. We're at 40,000. I also want to welcome, we just opened our office in Japan over the last 2 years. We've grown that office now to about 10 people. Can those Atlassians, some are already standing up, please stand up. Are the Atlassians in the room? We've got 1, 2, 4, 5. And if you have any questions, please ask these people. They know more about things than I do. And I'm also proud for some of the Japanese customers we have. Already we have companies big and small using our products and hopefully changing the way that some of these companies work from top-down waterfall, slow development practices to much more agile, more self-empowerment. And so we're seeing some great results with these companies. So some of the recent product highlights I want to go through. First of all is HipChat. Hands up in the audience if you use HipChat today. So that's about a quarter of the room, I think. So for the rest of you, HipChat is our, no, it's not going to mean anything to you if you can't read English, but it's a real-time communication tool that allows your teams to collaborate. Have you ever had the problem where you're trying to get in touch with someone in another office and you can't find out where they are, or you have to play phone tag back and forth? HipChat solves that problem. If you ever wanted to share a file with someone quickly, you've got to open your email client, email someone, they have to open it and download. HipChat solves those problems. So it's about connecting people and teams inside your company to share information quicker. The key features of HipChat are rooms and one-on-one. We find there's a lot of chat products that have one-to-one chat. And actually, does anyone, hands up if anyone uses Skype here in the... So we have more people who use HipChat than Skype in the room. That surprises me, actually. So we have rooms and one-on-one, and there's a lot of benefits that we have in HipChat of having your company in one place. if you use Skype, every time someone joins the company or leaves, you have to update everyone, and that's a pain. It doesn't really have presence. You don't generally leave Skype open on your desktop all day, so it doesn't form that basis of real-time communications. If you've ever tried to share a file with Skype, you know how painful that process is. In HipChat, you can just drag a file from your desktop straight into the chat window. If it's for a group chat, then it turns up for everyone at the same time. And we use that for real-time design sessions, where designers will work across multiple locations and evolving their designs in light of feedback by dragging their designs into the HipChat room. It's available everywhere. We're a little bit late to the mobile party in the West compared to Japan that have had, smartphones for a lot longer. But we have HipChat's available on all major platforms, so Android, iPhone, Windows, Linux, Mac, and a web client as well that we're using right now. So it's available everywhere, and you know that every person in your company can use it wherever they are. And lastly, and I think is something that doesn't get enough mention, is the integrations. And I'll show you one of the integrations that we have tonight. And lastly, we're one of the few platforms to have video chat, which sounds like an easy feature, very hard to do well, and it's great that with your colleagues you can be chatting with someone and then instantly start a video chat, to have a quick conversation. And you'd be surprised how often you use it compared to Skype, where you would have to both load up some client, then find the person, then click on them, then call them and make the phone call. When it's one button on your mobile phone or on your desktop, you have a lot more video calls. And we've had some amazing traction with HipChat. We have sent over 4 billion messages with HipChat. We've shared 25 million files, which just goes to show you how often people share files when it's really easy. And we have over 23 million video minutes. So again, when sharing files and having videos is easy, you do them a lot more. And so in your company, people can collaborate much faster and get more work done as opposed to emailing and phone tag. Something we're announcing that only came out this week actually, it was 2 days ago, is a HipChat server. And we've had HipChat in the cloud now for many years, and the number one request we have from our customers, especially large companies, is they want all the benefits of HipChat, but they want to run it in their own infrastructure, their own data centers, with their own security across it. And so we want HipChat server. In addition to the 4 features that all the features you get from your normal HipChat, you get 2 extra ones. You can put it in your own data center, and you can connect it with your directory, so Active Directory or LDAP in your organizations, which makes it even easier to get your companies to use HipChat. So HipChat only came out 2 days ago, HipChat server. Please download it and try it for your organization. It's very easy to get set up, and we've had, I think, close to 1,000 companies trial it in the beta period, so it's been extremely successful. Switching gears to Jira for a little bit. We're about to launch Jira 6.4 within the next month, and a few things that are coming up in Jira 6.4. We have HipChat and Jira integration. And so the idea with that is that you can pipe all the information around your Jira issues into a room. And this is really important if you use things like Jira for support, where you want to have a queue of people who react to things in real time. You may use it for operations. Many people have alerts end up in Jira, and you want those alerts then to be broadcast to people. There's a great benefit that HipChat notifications go through to your mobile phone, so you can have teams effectively get pager messages by hooking Jira and HipChat up together as a huge benefit. You can set up the notifications however you want, so you can actually set up a filter. So you could say that only high priority issues that are raised with a certain fields get sent to a HipChat room. And so no matter how you've configured Jira or how you've configured HipChat, you can put the right messages together so that the right people get informed at the right time. And this is really good if there's high priority issues that you want to be discussed from a team. You can put those just those messages in, as opposed to everything. Here's what it looks like. Sorry about the screen resolution, but you can get notifications from a project new portal. You get the information that's passed into it. You can see status changes, and people can communicate that way without having to go back to Jira. Also useful if you have a project room that team's already sitting in to discuss other things. Putting the Jira issues in there makes a huge amount of sense. You can also put all sorts of other notifications from other systems in there, such as build result failures if builds fail from Bamboo. So you can have one central place for your entire team to spend the day in. And I presume, like most developers around the world, developers in Japan don't want to talk to each other either. So it's a nice place for everyone to hang out. The next thing I want to talk about is a release report. Is anyone here a development manager or a release manager responsible for getting the software out the door? No? No one's responsible for anything here?
Translation.
Sorry?
No translation.
Okay. Okay, I have to slow down. So yeah, is anyone a development manager here or responsible for getting software out the door? Okay.
何も聞かないから別に正直に言っていいですか? They're afraid you're going to ask them some questions.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm going to make fun of people that put their hand up. I learned not to do that one a while ago. So release report, at least in Atlassian we found that when it was time to release our software, our development managers, they spent that entire week running around chasing people. They would say, well, are the builds green? If not, what broke them? What still needs to be fixed? They would say, is all the code that we think going to be shipped actually committed to that branch? And is it ready to go? Are all the issues that we say are going to be fixed, have they all actually been fixed and closed and put through the entire workflow? And we thought it was silly for our most senior people to be running around chasing people every time we release some software. So we thought we could, like good software developers, we could automate the process. So we came up with a release report. So a release report shows you, the status of how we're traveling. So you can see, it's hard to see, but the number of stories, the number of subtasks, the number of bugs, and who has been working on that particular set of issues, pulling from our agile boards. Here's probably a better example. So when you want to release, there are 2 open pull requests where the issue's been closed but the code has not been merged yet. And often that you think, hey, I'm sure I fixed that bug and it went into that release, except it didn't because you didn't merge the pull request, so you didn't actually commit the code, or it's sitting on some developer's machine. Another one is builds are failing. At Atlassian, we use lots of builds for our software, and some of them we actually are fine if they fail every now and then because they're not critical, but we want to know that when we release our software, we want to make sure that 100% of our builds are green. And sometimes it's hard to work out which are the ones that are really important to us. So the release report here says that this particular issue is still failing the build. And again, because of the integration between Jira and all of our tools, Jira and Bitbucket, Jira and Stash, Jira and Bamboo, we have full traceability through the process. So you can see that this particular issue was the cause of the build failing. And that particular issue is the one I want to release. Even if that, you have different builds for branches and other things, you can see that that issue is blocking the release. And lastly, we have commits that have been made, but there's been no pull request. So we think we fixed it. It's fixed somewhere in the world on some developer's machine, but we don't know that it hasn't been merged back into the master branch that we're going to release from. Again, without this report, it would normally take a week of development managers running around to work out that was the case. So I'm really excited by the release report coming in Jira 6.4. Also coming in Jira 6.4, is anyone here a Jira Data Center customer? Yeah, so we have quite a few. So performance has been a big thing for us across Atlassian over the last year. We've released a data center product, which is a much more scalable version. I'll talk about that in a moment. But we've also fixed other scalability issues for big organizations. Often things in the code that are simple changes, but they only affect customers with 100,000 issues or 10,000 users. And so we haven't probably put enough attention on them previously. For those of you who don't use Jira Data Center and are looking for the next thing, if Jira is mission critical to your organization, if it goes down and the CEO calls you and says, why is it down, then Jira Data Center can help you. It has high availability, instant scalability, and performance at scale. And so for the high availability is that you can configure a cold standby ready for disaster recovery. So some people have disaster recovery requirements, and you can set it all up that it's a cold standby in another site with easily be able to spin up in a disaster recovery scenario. For the performance, you may have seen some of these numbers before, but for those of you that need high scalability, you can configure Jira now to run on multiple machines, and that helps scale almost linearly with the number of nodes. And so, yeah, for many of you, if Jira is mission critical, you should check out Jira Data Center as a way to make sure that you're having the uptime that you need. So I'm excited about Jira. We've got the HipChat integration, the release report to save your managers, or if you are a manager, save you running around for a week, and the performance things means there's probably something in it for every person in this room to upgrade to. Confluence. Hands up, I'm not going to pick on you. Hands up if you're a Confluence user. So that's probably 60% of the room, 70% of the room. So you already know that. So here are things in the last 12 months, in the last year. We've improved an agile planning documentation with traceability. So it's now much easier. The Jira integration is a lot easier in Confluence 5.4. That means that when you mention a Jira ticket in Confluence, or you mention a Confluence page in Jira, that those two things get linked together. And so we use this at Atlassian to start writing our requirements document and then link to all the Jira issues that get created, and it creates a bi-directional link. And this is really useful in a year's time when you come across a bug and you say, well, what were we doing back then when we introduced that bug? You can then go back in time and say, oh, well, that actually was introduced as that feature, and that feature came from this spec, and then I can go find out more information as to why or what the requirements were. So we find that, again, really useful to track between the different products. We ship Confluence questions. We found that Confluence is a really good way of, if you have information, sharing it with the rest of your organization, but it almost requires the person who's sharing to sort of go out of their way to give information and document it. With Confluence questions, we found that people can ask questions and invite other people to share that knowledge. And so inside organizations, you have both types. Some people know a lot, but they just don't know how to share it with people. And the Confluence questions allows you to ask, hey, does anyone know about Node.js that could help me out? Does anyone know where the best place for Donbori is at lunchtime? You can ask questions and get the rest of your organization to share their information. And we found this really useful to get stuff out of people's heads. And lastly, like Jira, we shipped a data center version of Confluence for the high scalability. So coming up in Confluence 5.7, we have roadmap planning. We at Atlassian do high-level roadmaps in Confluence before we put them all into Jira. So we can debate, well, what's in this release, what's in that release, without having to create lots of issues and manage them that way. And the roadmap planner is great. It's very visual. It's very easy for you to start building roadmaps inside your product. So if you're we find that product managers use this a lot, or business analysts use this a lot to sort of get stuff out of their head of what are the broad themes we're going to do this year in Confluence, and then those can be linked through to Jira issues and epics, as you build out your plan. But it's very easy to sketch something at a high level. We have inline comments. This is a feature that I wish we'd had in Confluence for years, because I use it almost every day. And we found that when you have documentation or using Confluence to collaborate and create something, instead of adding comments at the bottom, which can get lost, having comments in line where you can highlight text and add a comment to that text, almost like word track changes when you can add a comment, or in Excel when you can comment on a cell. That makes it a lot easier for you to then give very specific feedback. And those comments you can dismiss. So people can give feedback and you say, yep, I've incorporated that feedback and dismiss the comment. So it's really good for a list of to-dos in a document, and really good for peer review, for example, technical documentation, or if you're working on a proposal for a customer that you want multiple people working on, it's really good for doing that as well. So that's coming up. Nothing else that'll change the way you use Confluence. And we also have file collaboration. So we've always been able to store files in Confluence, but now we have real-time previewing of dozens of document types. So you can attach a Word document and not need to open Word to view it inside the browser. You can attach all the different document types. You can zoom, you can scroll, you can annotate them as well, which is the feature that I don't think anyone else has, is that you can upload a PDF and add a comment on a specific part of the document, which makes it really easy to review documents together. And I know at Atlassian, we really struggle when we're trying to get multiple people to work on a PDF or a PowerPoint presentation. It's really hard for you to add comments and have multiple versions. Whereas with the file collaboration in Confluence, you can do that. You can literally leave a dot on a page and say, here's a comment relating to that piece of content. Here's one of our quotes, and one of the reasons we did the inline commenting was that we found people were, taking stuff out of, products and putting into Google Docs for inline comments. And the other reason people were doing that was so they can have real-time editing. And I want to show a little video about what we're working on at the moment in terms of real-time editing. This is not coming in the next version of Confluence, but it will be coming over the next year. So we're really excited by real-time editing. I think that when that ships, it's going to change the way that people use Confluence. No longer will you be copying stuff into Google Docs to real-time collaborate on a document. And so with these changes, we think Confluence is the best place in your organization to create content, whether that's technical docs that you're going to ship to your customers, where they read their technical documentation, or whether it's specifications and requirements inside your organization. We even know customers that use it for their HR policies and procedures. So there's one place online where they can keep everything related to their company. It's an all-in-one intranet solution. So here's a sort of summary on Confluence. We shipped Data Center, the inline comments, file collaboration, roadmap planner coming out in the next month, and live editing's coming soon. If you're after more information, we have our road trip coming up, and that's on April 14th this year. Do we know the venue yet where it's going to be in Tokyo?
Yes, it's here in Tokyo Station.
In Tokyo Station? Okay. So please, it'll be a big event where we fly a lot of Atlassians in. Sorry, Adam, did you say something? Did you want to say something, Adam? Okay. We fly people in from around the world to come and present and give you the best of Atlassian. So please join us for a road trip. And thanks from me. I'd love to take any questions that you have. I have some prizes for questions. I've heard that it takes a little while for people to warm up to it.
Okay. Show the prizes.
I have just one small question. And I'm very happy to see the Confluence live the editing function. That is very good. But I'm afraid that it takes very huge the resources in the server. We should update those servers on premise or now.
Yeah, so the question is, will it take lots of resources on the server to do live editing? We don't believe so. I don't have the performance numbers on me now, but that's something we'll make sure that if there is significant change in performance requirements, that we'll let people know that so that you can make sure that you don't upgrade and then suddenly your service fall over. So that's a good reminder, for us to make sure that performance is addressed when we launch it.
お土産つけます。クーラーボックス、新しいの。
ありがとうございます。
じゃあ、
They're very Australian. You need to get ones you can throw better. Or a better throw up, maybe.
あと2つありますんで、質問漏れなく。みんなビール入ってる中大丈夫ですか？大丈夫ですか？
日本語で質問してもらっても質問というかリクエストになるんですけれども、以前コンフレンスを使っていて、プラグインコンフレンスでプラグインでワードのドキュメントとかパワーポイントとか見えたんですけれども、日本語が若干崩れたり消えたりすることがあったのでですね。
クラブ使うと日本語が変なんじゃ
そうですね。若干日本語のところで、ずれたりとか表示されないものがあった。ちょっと。
それプラグインのメインのソフト
私ちょっと前の会社でコンフレンス使って結構古いバージョンかもしれないですけど、もし今回そういうことは何に気をつけていただきたいですしな。
Some more requests that using some of our products in the past plugins, when you're inputting Japanese characters, sometimes the characters jumble up. There's probably a problem with 2-byte font versus 1 byte. So it's more requests for quality control
Of third party.
Of third party. And you just remember if it was a third party add-on that changed the Japanese funny or
Yeah. If it's Confluence, make sure.
It's not third party. Our Confluence module itself, PowerPoint and Excel, and Word, and Confluence module.
Yeah, we do what we can with our stuff, but with third parties, it's hard to, to force them to support. It should be easy, but we will let them know. But that's out of our control a little bit.
大 り今一応ですね、日本チームできたんで、まあうちのウェブサイトもそうですけど、とてもここ、まあ、日本語モードでもブログポップやるときに英語言っちゃうとか、そういう問題も中に入るんで、本当日本語で急に英語になっちゃうとかね。まあ、なるべくはうちのチームでいろんなことやって、まあ、QA を高めて言おうとはしてます。まだ完璧じゃないけど。
今のに関しては設定でフォントのインストールとかで回避できるのでワークアラウンドがあるので後でご説明します。
おい質問おめげ
Yes. Questions in Japanese or English is fine.
Thank you for this conference. Then I wanna know the Jira SQL, Jira query in JQL in Japanese, because the current company use the Jira in Japanese, using the Japanese. However, for example, fixed version, we changed that the name is translated as Japanese. Therefore, it's very difficult to convert the Jira SQL from Japanese to English. Is there any good document, or is there any good automated translated function on Jira?
So the question is can we support JQL where the modifiers are in Japanese?
Or supporting the name.
The part of the language. That is, if you are, that's relatively easy to change yourself. I'd have to think through the testing, requirements for that. But there's a grammar file that specifies all those fields that get passed in. So I don't know how difficult it would be to change those terms as well, because I think we prohibit them in other areas as well. So I'd have to do some more thought as to how easy or hard that would be to do. I think if it was a developer in the code, it could probably take if it was yourself, it might take you a week to find the right places to change it. I have to think whether that's something we want to do or not, because it opens, SQL has only, SQL, select is select in every language for a reason, because it makes it easy for people to read the documentation.
Yeah, sometimes cloud name is very difficult to translate.
Yeah, okay.
If the people use the Japanese version.
Yeah. Okay. I might get you later and come show me. Yeah.
Thank you.
最後に行こう。
Oh,
飛ぶかな。はい。ごめん。遠慮せずに、彼が初めて昨日夜日本に来たんで、2年待ちました。2年分の質問。はい。
夢は何ですか？
会社個人です。
両方聞きたいです。プライベートと
And for you personally.
For the company, there's two parts. One is to create a place where people love coming to work. And this came from when I was very young at Atlassian, when I was just starting out. And I went to lunch with all of my friends that went to work at other companies. And they all went around and they complained about their jobs. They all, my job and this and that. And I remember thinking, man, when Atlassian becomes a big company, I hope that people don't go to lunch and complain about their job. And so I wanted to create a place where people feel like they can do the best work of their lives. And also where if they ever leave Atlassian to go somewhere else, I've ruined them if they can't work anywhere else. So that's number one for me. Is I sort of view a company like a big canvas, a big painting, and every employee gets to paint a little bit of that painting. And my job as a boss is to make sure that canvas gets bigger every year, and it's employees' job to get better at painting that canvas every year. So every year we paint a bigger, better canvas for everyone. So I'm really passionate about making a great place to work. And the second part is to have a company where the customers, we really make an impact on the world, and the customers, love us for that. And we have, I'm proud, for example, that a company like NASA use bamboo to help test the Mars rover. And it's pretty great to be some part of helping space exploration. If only they'd had bamboo the first time they tried to land on Mars, it would have worked out maybe. And we have cochlear implants, so that help children to hear. We help those teams build the cochlear implants, and so it's great that we're not doctors and we're not saving people's lives from my own physical hands, but we get to help medical research, or we get to help space exploration, or we help Tesla to build their cars. So we get to help all these companies around the world that get to help other people. So that's my dream, is that so that not only people in my company love going to work, but people in every company love going to work, because they can, they do amazing things because our software helps them do that. So that's my dream for the company.
That's great. I really hope you're doing something.
一応オーストラリアでは、去年ナンバーワンの、働きやすい企業になりましたので、彼は僕にプレッシャーかけて日本のトラス株式会社も日本では、100人未満でナンバーワンになるように努力しろってさっき言われました。
Next year.
いやなんか僕にはローン。僕の方で、はい、やっぱりどうぞ。
Repeat the question.
はい。
ごめんなさい。最近影の薄いフィッシュアイって今後どうなるんですか。
He doesn't hear much about fish eye. What's going to happen to fish eye?
What we're finding is that for customers still using Subversion, CVS, Perforce, that Fisheye and Crucible work really well for them. But more sort of the newer companies are skipping over that and going to Git and some to Mercurial as well. And so we're spending a lot of our efforts for that in Stash and Bitbucket. And so for Git and Mercurial, that's where the future is. But even if you're moving Git and Mercurial, you're probably not going to move all your legacy Subversion. There might be something you need to make a bug fix in once a year. So Fisheye and Crucible work really well for the older repositories, or if you're staying on those old systems. But because Stash and Bitbucket pull requests, we use feature branches. Do people know what feature branches are here? Does that make sense? How do you say feature branch in Japanese?
Feature branch.
Okay. Who here uses feature branches for all their development? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think that's the way that the future is going, is that every developer develops on their own branch, and so you don't end up with merge hell like you do in Subversion. So that's the way the future is going, and so pull requests, feature branches, all that is the way that we're supporting in Stash and Bitbucket. I was told that you asked tricky questions.
難しい質問ないから。Tricky question.
Yeah.
So,
so tricky you don't know how to ask it. That's scary.
So I love the compliments. That is very now that is very simple. This is easy to understand by all kind of people, include business people. They love compliments, but most of people doesn't understand the complexity of the Jira. In the future, which direction the Jira will go? More simple or more complicated or more something other way?
So what Confluence is good, Jira is crap. And is it going to get more crap, or is it going to get less crap? That was the question. Okay. So I understand. No, we've been trying to simplify Jira for a long time now. The power and the reason many people in this room talking too fast. So the reason people use Jira is because it can do all the things that people want it to do. The reason people don't use Jira is that they don't know how, or it's too complicated. So for simple projects, we're moving more towards the agile board card approach, where we say, okay, we'll use cards as your main interface. And once you get advanced and you want to do searches and advanced multi-editing and things you like in Jira, then you switch back to more the traditional interface. So we recognize that a lot of people want to get started with a very simple card-based interface. So that's happening. The admin side, we're continually trying to simplify the admin side. We know that's quite complicated for people getting started. We've done in the past, we've improved the workflow editor. We're trying to simplify down some of the getting started steps. So that's it. And also the other part is that sometimes Jira is complicated because people in this room make it complicated. They add 40 required fields to a page, and they create multiple custom fields that all look similar but are quite different in a subtle way. People in this room can help Jira's reputation by making sure they keep it simple for their users, as well as the things we can do.
Thank you. I love the agile board. That is very simple for start beginner users. That is great. But sometimes they struggle in the backside of the Kanban board or Scrum board. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Now we definitely know that complexity is the thing stopping people. So we're working on it one bit at a time, trying to simplify that interface. In the next version of Jira 7, the next major release, we are changing the interface a little bit to have more of a left-hand navigation section that will simplify it for new users. Now, some people in this room probably aren't going to like it to start with because it'll be different from what they've got used to. And that will be difficult for some people to get across. But we do testing with new users, a simplified navigation that says, okay, well, here's what's important for this project, here's how you get started, helps your users a lot more. So there are more radical changes in Jira 7, and if you're interested in seeing those changes, I believe we have a closed kind of alpha or beta list that you can get on to give us feedback about that new interface. So if you're interested, come. I'm sure one of our staff can get you on that list. Probably have time for one or two more questions, so get in quickly.
データセンターは安くなりませんかすごく困ってるお客さんが、コンプレで困ってるお客さんにデータセンターを入れたいんですが、どうしても価格が
Get the prize for the funniest questions. Is there
There's a hypothetical customer somewhere out there that really needs data center at a lower price.
a hypothetical question? Okay. They obviously don't need it very much then. The pricing on data center is an interesting one from from the company, because we've always had very extremely cheap products, and there are things that a data center where only a small number of people need the features, and so for us to be able to afford it, we need to price it at a higher level, because otherwise we just couldn't afford to make it. It would be we'd lose money on that, and so data center. In fact, our entire enterprise program is a very good deal. Data center, our technical account managers, where we actually have people that are involved in your organization to help you get the most out of our products. And we also have enterprise support as well. And all three of those are priced kind of at cost, just so that we can help our big customers be successful with our products. Yeah, I wish I could price it cheap for everyone. Yeah.
アトラシアンの製品はソースコードを入れるようにしてくれててすごい助かってるんですけど、ヒップチャットもそういうふうにするってあります。
One thing she loves about our products is that we do the source code, and he was asking about her chat. We have plans to release the source code.
Oh, that's a good question. Source code for HipChat. I don't know we have plans at the moment to do a source code for HipChat. If I think more and more the way that people, so the reason we have source code for Jira and Confluence and our other products is because people wanted to modify those products to do something different. And even if and then we have a plugin system, so you could build plugins, but those plugins talk to internals of the products. And so having the source code mean you could make a better plugin because you could see the bits you're interacting with. In the future world of web services, you'll interact with APIs. And so as long as the APIs are documented really well, then the source code is less relevant to you. If they're poorly documented, then you may want to go and see how it really works. So we will probably spend more of the effort on documenting the APIs and making it easy for you to build plugins talking to the APIs rather than giving out the full source code. So that's the way we're headed, especially with web services where there's more of a security concern and so forth. When we post something for everyone, source code makes it easier for people to exploit things. And one last question. Yes, please.
ヒップチャットのサーバー版のベータを1年ぐらい使ってるんですけど、正式にリリースされた後は価格とかちょっとモデルがどうなるのかよくわからないので。
今持ってないの？
サーバー版？サーバー版、はい。出てますか？
ヒップチャット.com/サーバー。はい。
全部出ましたね。
出ました。
これの裏側に会社名は
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me. I'll be around later if you have any more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott-san. And please, もう一度拍手で